in this situation? Cakes. Nazis, why? Good, comes with the privilege, okay. But what does it show? If Bruno is saying, I don't know which one I'd rather wear, what does that show? What is he not aware of? Cameron?
He's not aware of what the sign means and all that, and he doesn't know what the star is and what's the swastika is as well.
Good, and he's unaware of his own privilege, isn't he? He is unaware that his father has all these privileges because he's never had them taken away. Okay? Yeah, good, fantastic what Cameron's saying there. He isn't aware of what these different signs mean, and he isn't aware that he's privileged. He thinks it's just normal. He doesn't see how bad things could be. Okay, fantastic. Let's keep on reading. Shmuel shook his head and continued with his story. He didn't often think about these things anymore, because remembering his old life above the watch shop made him very sad. We wore the armbands for a few months, he said, and then things changed again. I came home one day, and Mama said we couldn't live in our house anymore. That happened to me too, shouted Bruno, delighted that he wasn't the only boy who'd been forced to move. The Fury came for dinner, you see, and the next thing I knew, we moved here, and I hate it here, he added in a loud voice. Did he come to your house and do the same thing? No. But when we were told we couldn't live in our house, we had to move to a different part of Krakow, where the soldiers built a big wall, and my mother and father and my brother and I all had to live in one room. All of you? Asked Bruno. In one room? Not just us, said Shmuel. There was another family there, and the mother and father were always fighting with each other, and one of the sons, who was bigger than me, and he hit me even when I'd done nothing wrong. You can't all have lived in one room, said Bruno, shaking his head. That doesn't make any sense. All of us, said Shmuel, nodding his head. 11 in total. Bruno opened his mouth to contradict him again. He didn't really believe that 11 people could live in the same room together, but changed his mind. We lived there for some more months, continued Shmuel. All of us in that one room. There was one small window in it. I didn't like to look out of it, because then I would see the wall, and I hated the wall, because our real home was on the other side of it. And this part of town was the bad part, because it was always noisy, and it was impossible to sleep. And I hated Luca, who was the boy who kept hitting me, even though I'd done nothing wrong. Gretel hits me sometimes, said Bruno. She's my sister, he added, and a hopeless case. But soon I'll be bigger and stronger than she is, and she won't know what's hit her then. Then one day, the soldiers all came with huge trucks, continued Shmuel, who didn't seem all that interested in Gretel. And everyone was told to leave their houses. Lots of people didn't want to, and they hid wherever they could find a place, but in the end, I think they caught everyone. And the trucks took us to a train, and the train... He hesitated for a moment, and bit his lip. I really thought he was going to start crying. He couldn't understand why. The train was horrible, said Phil. There were too many of us in the carriages for one thing, and there was no air to breathe, and it smelled awful. That's because you all crowded into one train, said Bruno, remembering the 2 trains he had seen at the station when he left Berlin. When we came here, there was another one on the other side of the platform, but no one seemed to see it. That was the one we got. You should have got on it too. I don't think we would have been allowed, said Shmuel, shaking his head. We weren't able to get out of our carriage. The doors are at the end, explained Bruno. There weren't any doors, said Shmuel. Of course there were doors, said Bruno with a sigh. They're at the end, he repeated, just past the buffet section. There weren't any doors, insisted Shmuel. If there had been, we would have all got off. Bruno mumbled something under his breath along the lines of course there were. But he didn't say it very loud, so we all didn't hear. When the train finally stopped, continued Shmuel, we were in a very cold place, and we all had to walk here. We had a car, said Bruno out loud now. And Mama was taken away from us, and Papa and Joseph and I were put into huts over there. That's where we've been ever since. Shmuel looked very sad when he told this story. He really didn't know why. It didn't seem like such a terrible thing to him. And after all, much the same thing had happened to him. Okay, so what's Bruno doing? Okay, how is Bruno reacting to Shmuel's story? What do we think? Cameron?
He reacted to it like nothing's really happening and just like shrugged it off and like nah, because he just got off it.
Good, so he's kind of, he's reacting like nothing has really happened, okay? What do we think about that? Is that a good thing? Is that an appropriate response? What do you think, Nathan?
No, because
No.
it's kind of annoying because you know what's going on to him.